to social media?
No,
very confident.
So here's the thing. I didn't say that I am 100% confident.
Still feel confident?
I can't claim that I control what my
Yeah.
child watches or who he connects with on social media. No, I can't say that. I will be
Yes.
lying to myself, and I don't want to do that. Yes, so no. That's why I am
But you
coming
have
to learn a lot
conversations
from
with
this
the child on
conversation.
it.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of conversation. But see, I told you that I was called. The principal called me, and so I know that there are some things that he won't show me, but he will exhibit those things in school.
Are you the favorite parent, as in the one that the child is talking to more? Because you might like your mother.
I think
but
so.
You have a very tough mother, so you want to talk to your father about.
Raymond, you know, Aaron Terrier.
Yeah.
Let it add.
Yes.
Okay, so he sent me a message. He says, leave the kids to explore. Guide them at a distance.
Okay.
You can install a monitoring app as well. I use one that allows me to do a lot of things. You can give time to games and apps, and even allow apps that they use when the tablet is locked.
Brilliant.
You can see every site they visit when with a paid version, and even block specific sites. But in all, leave them to explore and outsmart you, like we did with video decks when we were growing up. Also, if it's games they want to play, I am so strict on them to play the game well and win. I punish them if they fail and make sure they play the game well to be competitive for esports, and in all cases to be involved. This even deters them from wanting to play games all the time.
Oh, please, can she share the app with me?
This is
the monitoring app. I'm really interested.
Mama V.
No, listen, we learn, okay, and that's why for me this conversation is really important.
So I'll correct you to Aram.
Yeah.
Please do.
So that
please, right after the show.
It's important, and I'm happy that I almost said that thing. So he understands the structure and how to monitor it properly. It might not be foolproof, but you still have a system in place that's functioning. What we cannot do is pretend that the kids are not exploring.
Oh yeah.
What we cannot do is pretend that the kids do not have the ability to explore. In fact, some children under 14 are better equipped technologically than their parents.
A lot of them.
Smart parents, they really have gone into the areas that parents, even the next decade, an old man used to say something to me. Everything you take about technology, you say, I'm a member.
Let me tell you what Abner just sent to me. Before Raymond, he says, it's disheartening how some parents have zero idea what their kids do on social media. As a teacher, what I see is troubling. We try to counsel and parent them at school, but more damage is done within the few hours they spend at home before returning to the school the next day. And she goes as saying some actually exchange nude pictures and watch adult movies.
Because they are, whether we like it or not, they are adult websites, which is telling the child that don't be 18, but who is monitoring whether the child is 18?
Sometimes these apps will just pop up. And out of curiosity, they would just open.
And they move in that particular direction.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a need to make the place safer so that you are guiding the child into a time that they can make decisions and be independent on their own. The difficulty some parents have is 12 and a very okay age for me to start introducing the child. Because on one side, you really want your child to understand a bit of technology too. You want the child to know what's happening in the world. They cannot get all of that sitting behind the TV. Kids don't like
some of their friends.
Now they use only the monitor for playing games anyway.
Their age mates are already on it.
Yes. So,
and do you know that when they are playing the games, they can actually chat with other children?
Yeah.
That was also something that I discovered. So without a phone, without a mobile phone, they still can chat. Hey!
Raymond, so why should we be concerned? I mean, for me, that's the most important thing. And there are a lot of parents listening now who are asking the question, why should I be concerned? After all, my child is just, watching TV or using his phone and, chatting. Why should that parent be concerned?
You have a parenting role, right? Even if you are just the one taking care of the child or the guardian at the time, your responsibility is to protect the child. Protect them. We think that the protection means that keep the child from going out unrestricted. So you monitor where they go. They are in school. They're actually taking lessons. You actually go to the school and monitor the lessons that they take. So you're convinced that the curriculum is for their development. When they come back home, you monitor what they do from eating straight down to what time they are sleeping. But there's a space that sometimes goes unregulated. Because it's virtual, you might not, because you need to give the child a phone, a tablet, or so to operate within that space. Somebody can send messages, and there's this terrible story where Belgium, they are saying the man started with a chatbot. Chatbot is almost like, it's like the way you can have conversation with people on WhatsApp, but this one is an entire tool. It's a machine that you are engaging. It can become so friendly, learn you so much. You see it as a very close person. People who are not engaging that much can find comfort in some of these people. It advised the gentleman to end up committing suicide. The most important part, which values are being communicated to your
Hold
child.
on, the chat box
Yes, advise the gentleman
is advising the gentleman
to commit suicide,
to
save the environment,
To save the environment.
because the person was worried about it. And you see, it degenerated because of the kind of information he got and the kind of chats they went through. This man is a married man. He's not even a kid, actually. A married man. He became so confused and depressed by what he considered to be environmental problems. Then it degenerated to a level where he had so much comfort that he says the AI is the one supposed to save the world. So if he's going to sacrifice himself to let that happen, ideally those are signs of suicide, which a professional would identify. You, the parent, should be able to identify and stop your child from continuing that path, or cancel the child out of that space. But this ended up with the advice going on the opposite end, rather. Oh, you should do it. You should die and be like me, so that I can live forever. So all of these, in fact, they are suspected, contributed to the man finally committing suicide. I'm not saying this is happening in this country. I'm saying that what you regulate on social media, there's an argument in mainland China that the only videos they can show the kids is educational videos, development, science, or even if it's a game, it should have those tunes to it. Do you have the same regulation for your child? So there are videos, right? There are videos showing whatever comprehensive sexuality there is in the world to kids all over this particular space. Is that what you want to expose your child to at whichever age that you want? Are they supposed to learn it from there? Are their values supposed to be shaped? I mean, two things. You can have a video teaching a child how to behave properly. Things you may not be able to teach the child. But there are also videos that may teach the child how to behave in ways, how to be on their own, be independent of parental control, and how to stand up and speak up for themselves. Is that what you want your child to have? So do parents know that they have to put in some regulation? Because I know parents want to do so. All of us, our parents were quite insistent on doing things right because they want to do it right. But do they know that these are alternatives available? Even the parent might not be so well versed in social media in itself, or the alternatives on the internet that are available to the child. If a child is already engrossed in something like that, how can you intervene? Do you know how you can identify those ones? Because, I mean, if like go to an event, there are events that you go, the parents visit the child is supposed to play with other kids, but this child is holding the tablet close.
Oh yeah.
Every single moment of the child is spent on the tablet. The parent knows that the child is busy and not stepping out, so that's fine. But they do not know who they are engaging, what they are imbibing, and what they are exchanging on that particular tablet.
Yeah.
And these are people that we have sworn, and it's our responsibility to protect within that particular space. And whilst you might think that a kid at 13 may look big, and I mean, I hear some people say that if you see a girl at 13 today, you might think the person is grown up. And sometimes if you see the kind of messages that the person is sending you on social media, you just ask yourself, how old are you that you are engaging in this conversation? But the parent might not be aware that this child is into this or anything related to that.
Yeah.
So a bit more caution and regulation is required. You know, Akanyamaka was in Parliament saying, the deputy majority leader was in Parliament insisting that we should have these kids wait till 16 before we expose them to all the gadgets. Elsewhere, there is some data that suggests that at 13, the child is able to, is elevated enough to know good from bad and be able to determine some of these things. So that should be a good age. But you, the parent, which age will be perfect for you?
Yeah.
Which age do you think your child is matured enough to be exposed fully to the vagaries of the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the other things that happen within that space?
Well, interesting conversation ahead because we, Mama V is very worried because, the technology bit is a problem for a lot of parents. And you have, parents saying, oh, this was not available in our time. Yeah. See, the world is moving fast. Yes. And you cannot fold your arms and say, oh, I mean, this didn't happen in my time, so you let it go. Because the children are using it.
Yeah.
Okay, look, one boy came to my house. It was about 6 or 7 years. When he got into that, he says, "Please put it on channel 306. I want to watch these cartoons."
A man knows where he goes
He
to for
knows
his
where. He knows where. Even today, my almost 4-year-old.
But when we were young, you could not determine. Hey.
Even my almost 4-year-old boy knows the channels he wants to watch. He knows where he wants to go. He can tell you, no, not this one. Change it. So, if he says change it, and he gets to a place, and today on even these programs that we watch on TV, there are some that are, even these cartoons, the content is not the best for children.
Not even for adults. I've heard about one. Akable mentioned one.
Yes.
It's strong adult content, but
And
it's
you don't
a cartoon that children watch.
That's it. Parent just had cartoon. She has not reviewed it. It's some work, right? To be able to review and say, no, this one my child can watch. I get, you see, because you are busy. You work from here, you are going back home late in the evening. The child comes back a bit earlier. You have a entire space 4 or 5 hours before you come in. You are rushing to bed. The conversations that you should be having, they rarely happens at the time that they should happen. Until the child is, even if it's just cultural adulteration, getting the information that the conversation we're having about inculcating into our children languages and all of that. There are alternative videos that a child can watch.
Yeah.
But if your child is not watching any of these, if your child is watching something else that you do not want to inculcate into a child as a value, how is that developing for you?
And don't be fooled, sometimes they're watching the wrong things. As soon as they sense that they sense your presence or they see you, they flip, they change.
Yeah.
We need to hear from a child, a young adult.
Yeah.
And we activate the phone lines also and hear from the parents.
Yes.
You would hear from the children telling you what they're going through, and you as a parent also get to share your own experiences with us. After all, we're doing this together.
Yes. We'll be engaging some young ones this morning. We have one that we want you to take a listen to now. When we return, we'll have Afika Kelly, who is also a student, in the studio. But first, please listen to this.
My name is Kayla Sakifio, and I'm on social media. It's the new world now, so I don't really know anyone who isn't. The apps I'm on, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Telegram, YouTube, Netflix, and WhatsApp. The last 3, I'm not as active on them, but I'm on them. I got on these apps by people telling me. I was exploring, found some. It was nice. So, guess that's why I'm on it. It's the same with my friends, honestly. Almost all of them are on social media. If not all, most of the apps, or some. Through my use of social media, I haven't faced any challenge of bullying or anything. It's been smooth. I keep to myself. I only interact with people I know, friends of my friends, and friends of my friends' friends. So I haven't experienced anything like that. With me, I think the ideal age for social media will be 13, because I personally think at that age, the individual has a mature mind and can differentiate between right and wrong, and will choose wisely whatever they want to watch or whatever they want to associate themselves with. Yes, so I think 13. So parents should wait till that was at like 13 before they allow them to access social media. And my favorite social media app will be TikTok, because I can find anything there. It's joy, it makes me laugh. A lot of emotional stuff on there too. Movies, clips, stuff, news about the world, whatever is going to come. Yeah, so TikTok, yeah.
And that's our friend, 13-year-old Kayla, sharing her experiences with us. And it's just, she also talks about her friends, what her friends are into. So basically what you heard her narrate, that's what her friends also
There's
also
a study
do.
that between 11 and 16, almost 70% of the information young people get is from friends.
Yeah.
So you are really contributing very little.
As a parent.
Yes. You might think that you are making all the impact, but that peer group is where the information is coming from, the alternatives, the availability, because you don't know Yik Yak, all right?
What?
It's also a social media platform.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, but the friends will know, the young people will know that these are alternative places. Yik Yak is being used by students on campuses to interact with other students, and it's anonymous, so they can hide behind names and actually be engaging properly with other students.
Really?
Other things. Yes. But if you don't know and it's opened on your machine, you might think it for something else. So the understanding is that parents ought to be heavily invested in these areas. So you have to be updated with time. You have to be consistently on the know, because you have a responsibility to regulate the space more.
I don't want to say that I've lost this fight, but Africa Kelly is a student. She joins us in studio. Do you know this app that Raymond mentioned?
No, I don't know that one.
Okay, I thought it was just me, so that's fine. Raymond knows a whole lot more. But I feel, listen, we're looking at the appropriate age for children to get onto social media. What's your take on that?
So based on all the stuff I've seen on social media, I feel like they should go on social media at an age where things like that don't, like, it's like you've seen it all, so it doesn't really affect you. So I feel like the age should be like 15, 16 there, because by then they've learnt a few things that when they see maybe on TikTok, it's like, oh, I already know this.
Okay.
So I won't really be curious about doing the stuff that I see.
Right. What at what age did you get onto social media, and was it because somebody influenced you? Maybe your friends were all on social media, so you also needed to get onto it so you could chat with them?
I got onto it when I was 12. Like, I got onto it myself when I was 12.
Okay.
And I got on it because it was during the quarantine time, so everybody couldn't talk to everybody. We were just in the house, and all we could only see each other when we had like Zoom classes and stuff. So we wanted a way to talk to each other outside of class.
Right.
So we're like, oh, everybody, let's download WhatsApp, let's create this group, let's talk, let's chat. Then the groups moved to Instagram, so they could do like video calls and maybe share stuff in chat. Then the thing started broadening. We went to Snapchat, we went everywhere.
Right.
Just talk.
So, as a parent, there's one app that I've heard that will recommend videos to you. So if you've seen something once or twice, then it would recommend more videos of that kind of content to you. And I'm just thinking, so what if I watch the wrong thing or the wrong content? I don't particularly like it. I just saw it maybe in a flash. But it recommends more materials, similar materials to me. How do I control myself? I guess today, as part of this conversation, a lot of parents would want to know what their children are consuming through the other children that we interact with, and whether or not they are consuming the right things, whether or not they have control over what they are introduced to on some of these apps. Do you feel that you're in control?
After I learned the whole gimmick of using these apps, eventually I gained control of what I could see when I was using it. So like when it comes, I just click not interested, and then it just takes it.
Oh, so it gives you the option. So
yeah,
you
it
can
gives
say
you the
you're not
option.
interested.
Like dislike.
Oh, okay. All right. But listen, what do you think? Of course, we can't hide these things from children. What are the benefits of being on social media as a young 15-year-old?
Well, first I can talk to my friends about stuff like I'm interested in. I can gain access to information. It helps me see people like for what they post, and like maybe find someone I want to emulate. Like maybe I can be scrolling on this thing and I'm struggling with self-image. Then I see someone who may have maybe the same problem as me.
Okay.
And I see that person and I'm like, oh, this person is confident in what they feel, like what the world feels is a disability. So maybe I can also be like that, and I can be like them. That's how it is. And then another benefit would be that you can learn new things that you never knew about.
Right.
For example, sometimes on TikTok they give you, sometimes there's news flashes on TikTok. Yeah, I get news flashes. Sometimes they give us, sometimes maybe you're a Christian, and they give you videos on things about Christianity, it teaches you about stuff. Sometimes people even post videos about school work, how to maybe solve questions for an exam to get the full mark, crash course quizzes and things like that.
Okay. So there are very educative content also on some of these apps.
The rule in mainland China was that all of these apps should generally for children at a very young age only educational material. So their inventions, their developments in science, mathematics, solving questions, helping you go through step-by-step approaches to some of these ones. And very short videos like that. It was general keeper propaganda, they call it, as in like infiltration by Western ideas. But their main rule is that children would enjoy watching these things because it's audio visual, but it's also more educational.
Right.
Were there specific privacy settings when you're being given your phone? Were there specific privacy settings dictated to you?
Not really.
Okay.
But when I got my phone, I knew that texting strangers was a no.
Okay.
Texting strangers was a no. Giving my number to people that I didn't know was a big no. And downloading apps and then sharing my information, like my real information, was a big no.
Oh, wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, those are some of the things that parents, right from the beginning, you set the guidelines straight.
Yeah.
So mostly they will ask you to let the child have an anonymous page.
Okay.
Yes, not one that it should be a private page, not one that's exposing the child to other engagements. And some of, as she has mentioned, you can actually select interest areas, which will then rule out a chunk of the other things on social media that you don't think your child should be interested in. And the other key point is regularly checking up. Has the privacy settings remained the same? The settings you dictated from the beginning. That's if you know how to dictate specific settings. That no, you can only watch it at this time. You can only do this at this period and all of that. Has it remained the same, or it's changed, or the child is
Can
actually?
we be in control all the time, Kekeli? I mean, there will be some point where you know how to control these settings yourself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That you should check. And somehow there are apps that gives you remote monitoring power. So whatever apps that open by your child on their phone, you get to know
Right.
whether or not they did it in the private browsing mode or not, or they actually decided to open it incognito. You can still get to know the apps they have opened, so you know that they are on the same page. You see, kids will like to explore. Sometimes even the things you say they should not watch are the things that they are likely to look in that direction and see what you are preventing them from seeing. So some control may be required in that space too, which if you have in place, some really give it to other people to do for them. So there is somebody who's a bit tech savvy. He's the one monitoring the engagement so that can report to the parent that no, I think that you should check this or have this conversation with the child on going beyond this boundary. And they also regulate access time.
Yeah. So as adults, we get strange calls sometimes.
Yeah.
From fraudsters. Do you get similar calls sometimes?
For me, when I get a call from a number I don't recognize, I don't really pick it, and I get the smishing text, SMS phishing, where fraudsters send you SMSs to try and defraud you. But because I'm small, I know I don't have a Momo number. I don't know. There's nothing they can take from me. So when I see the message, I just ignore it.
Okay. Well, listen, if you're parents, we want you to join us. Give us a call on 0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. Let's have a conversation, because social media has become an integral part of our daily lives, and it's important to have a conversation about when it's appropriate for children to start using it, the potential benefits and risks, and how parents can ensure that their children are using it in a safe and healthy way. We can't run away from some of these things. 055-1111-997, or you can also call us on 0302-216-541. 541. We have some of the messages that have come through. At Mahama Yakubu says, I'm a teacher at a Sasi Senior High School, and Winston, you'll be amazed the kind of things these students watch. I seized a female student phone, and the content on the phone is serious, and it's like she's not perturbed that I got hold of those unfortunate content. At the hashtag Joy SMS and send us your messages. But Raymond, there are some ways or some tips that you can give us. Before I come to you, let's go to Benjamin. Benjamin is Ladenta, is joining us. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
By the grace of God, I'm fantastic.
Great.
Yes, what I want to add, and this is a dimension that often we are not speaking about. You know, if you go to China, they are letting their kids watch how to make crafts, scientific things,
That's what I mean.
how to go to space, how to go to the moon, land on the moon, and all of that. So these things are things that their kids are watching. Even with the TikTok app, I mean, it will interest you to know that the algorithm is such that kids in China don't watch women buttocks and all the things that our kids here are watching. So they program decided that their kids don't watch anything with any profanity or anything that would not, it's not academic, that will not help them sometimes to come. And they are creating with this intelligent kids. That is how come that they can come here, give you a loan, bring their people from their country to come and work, and take the money back to their home countries. So what I want to say is, why wouldn't we also learn from that example, the communications ministry especially? And it brings me to the fact that we need experts, technocrats, and not just lawyers taking over our positions. Because what I want to say is, social media, if your kid can use social media, which most parents are very comfortable with, once their kid can use social media, they buy them iPads, then wow, these are the computer kids. Please, IT is broad. Kids should be able to code. They should be able to develop certain products. They should learn. I mean, it's not all about buying your kids' phone, as the lady in the studio is saying, I mean, they are on social media, Instagram. I mean, who told you that Instagram and social media is all about that is the end? It's going to make them intelligent or whatever. No. So I think that we should get IT experts, the technocrats, who can really draft policies. We don't need certain websites to be available to kids. I mean, so you can block it. I mean, China has blocked a lot of apps, even ChatGPT. They are blocking access to it so that their kids are not going to be dumb. So that the software and AI is going to be doing your assignments for you. You see how they are reacting? But over here, who is thinking like that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Benjamin. Kekeli, was there something that you were going to say? Okay. Mercy is in Santa Maria. Mercy, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you're well.
Thank you too. Yes, I'm fine.
Great.
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying your conversation, and I'm grateful that this thing has come to light so that maybe some of our issues will be solved. I want to find out, I have a 16-year-old girl, and like you're saying, the phone is the world now. So she needs to do assignments, go online, do research and one or two. So you want to check on her, where you are, and what is going on, and you want to give information. So I get the phone and I put a password on it, which she knows the password. And I said, don't change the password. My idea was saying don't change the password so that I can have access to the phone.
Right.
Anytime, and then to check and monitor what she's doing with the phone so that I can correct if something is going on wrong. But I have realized that the password have been changed because the other time she was asleep, I took the phone, I wanted to go into it, whatever, and I saw that the password had been changed. I was like, wow. Now I call, she hardly picks the call and picks it as and when. I send text message, it doesn't go. Like, so I'm a bit confused as to how to monitor how she will use the phone. Meanwhile, you need the phone too for your classes to do assignments and then to check on you. That's why I get the phone. Now, I don't know whether to take the phone back or I need help because I know you need the phone, and in this world that we are at this age, they need the phone for a lot of things. But you give the phone with a positive mind, and you end up seeing that it's causing or is going to create a problem. What do you do?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mercy. Fortunately, Raymond has been doing a lot of research. He's been helping me, and he's helping all of us today. So we'll get some tips from Raymond. Listen, my 9-year-old changed my own password on my phone, the pattern. He changed it. But I needed him now. But anything to say to Mercy? I mean, she has a 16-year-old. So this is around your age as well. What do you think she's exploring? Why would she keep it to herself that she doesn't want her mom to see what's on the phone now?
So I feel like in this day and age, we the teens sometimes don't feel like what our parents would see. We don't know how they'll react to what they see on our phone.
Right.
So sometimes we feel like hiding it. Sometimes it's not even a bad thing that we're hiding. We just don't want them to see it. Because sometimes our friends are very, very wild. I will tell you, some of our friends are wild. They can say the most out of pocket thing out of the blue. And sometimes we feel like if our parents see this, what would their reaction be?
Okay.
Will they take my phone? Will they ground me? Will they kill me?
Okay.
And it causes, like, it's really, really scary sometimes. But like sometimes we have like this really strong conscience that we feel like, oh, what this person is telling us is not right, and blah blah blah. But we feel like they don't trust us enough, so we feel like their reaction is just going to be all over the place no matter what they see on our phone. That's why sometimes we feel like hiding it.
Okay, this is really important. Let's talk to Nana Kweku. Nana Kweku is joining us from Kumasi. Good morning, Nana Kweku.
Good morning, my dear. How are you doing?
Oh, very well, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
Well, let me use this key phrase. Yamete Oba and also impacted. No one can bring up a child well and that I have brought up my child well. It's only God that can save your child. And for you guys, however old your kids might be, my son will be 25 this year. And I tell you the hell I've gone through. So, there are things your child will do with the phone that you as their adult, you don't even know. So it's rather that you admonish the more or less plead with the child and advise the child and hope with prayer that your child will listen to you and then do what you want, because you might give the best education and everything, but when you go to school, the colleagues and everything, those friends you're following, you're saying that you swear them everything. He can do something and delete by the time he gets home. So you wouldn't see everything. Once he's out, you are thinking that the browsing app, you might have a browsing app on his phone, but he or she would download a different browsing app, choose whatever you want to do, but the time he gets home, he's deleted them. And you wouldn't even know. Because you can ask and install the non-installed, especially with an Android phone, and even whatever the phone will be. So it's just a matter of, look, they have even second accounts, and some phones have even where you can have different faces. They hide a whole lot. So I'm really back here. You're not a tipper, and you're thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Nana Kweku. Charles is in Kaswa. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Matthew.
Yes, Charles. Let's hear you.
Yes. I listened to the young lady in the studio, and I was a bit alarmed. She says she goes to TikTok when she's sad, she's happy, everything is there. That's where.
Okay, so that would be the one that we played, the voice notes that we shared.
Okay,
yes.
so that's what I was listening to, and I was kind of down that if those makes you happy, what are the parents doing? Okay, I'm a teacher myself, and it is true. Most of the times, kids find themselves so much glued to this media, and so they find excitement there. And I'm wondering, what are parents doing? And that is so alarming. It's like all our attention, our focus is on making the family look good, and at the end of the day, you come back and your family at home is shattered. parents should remember that by the time you do all this round and then come back, it is your children who are going to be there for you. And if you are not there for them now, as they grow up, they know that, okay, parents are not there for me, so me too, when I grow up, I'll not be there for them. That is why they don't go home to visit their parents when they are old, because when mommy was there, he left me alone. And I was so disappointed. The next thing that I'll say is, these gadgets have parental access control on them. Yes, my kids have phone, and we've made it in such a way that before you log on to any app, their mom receives the notification, because I'm a bit busy. Their mom receives the notification, and she has to give you the approval that, okay, you can download this or you can do this on the phone. And they are aware. And I told them, no password on any phone. Just when I saw the order put the password, I said, hey, remove every password. He did a facial password, so that without him, nobody can say, remove all password. There's no password, and they have parental control. So before you can get access to any media, anything on the phone, the mom gets a notification on her phone before it is approved. And there's no TikTok. They know it. So there are some measures that parents have to put in place. And parents as well too. We must not devote our time for this TikTok. When they see you doing that, they go that, oh, if mommy is doing that, means I can also have access to do it. If you can do it, yes, but you can do it privately when the kids are not around. You have your world to live. But to do it in the presence of the kids, they get to know that, okay, that is the world that we're living in now, so we should also go by it.
Right. Charles, how old are your children?
You can hear them. The older one is 11. I have 11, and then 10, and then 2. Okay. I can hear them in the background right now.
Yes, thank you, Charles. Some of the children are on vacation already.
Yeah, 11 has changed face ID.
Seth is in Lungwa. Good morning, Seth.
Good morning, Mamavi.
Is it still raining in Lungwa?
No. It's clear now.
Okay, great. Let's hear you.
Okay, Mamavi, there is this thing we say in my dialect. I wonder how I can do it in English. But the point is, some of the parents will just have to relax. Okay, we will not be able to cover everything our kids do. In this day and age, it's about the mobile phones. During our days, it's about the bushes. You understand me? And all those parents that have called or listening can tell you that there were one or two things that they did up to now parents never got to know. Yes, we have to monitor the usage of it. Who bought the phone? Is the parent. So I will not wait for my daughter or my son to go and sleep, then I'll sneak to see what he or she is doing on their phone. Call the person next to you. I want to check what you are doing on your phone. Once in a while, you eavesdrop on her or him, and you ask him, who are you talking to? What is it? Let's create a relationship. And with that monitoring of phones and all those things, the phone had come to stay. Let's rather encourage them to use them for the positives, the homeworks, the researches, and all that. I heard a lady who called and saying that when the daughter was asleep, she sneaked to. Why would you do that? Your own daughter? Are you losing it? Call her now, sit there, let me see what you are doing on your phone. And it shouldn't be every day, because you cannot monitor your kid every day. We have had our ways during our time. This is their time. Let's rather be friends with them and try to mitigate some of these things. But let's control in a way that will not be like as a tree, you want to, like the way they investigate the man. I want to see if he's gone out, he's going to see a weapon. You want to relate that same thing to your own daughter or your own son. That is out of place.
All right, Seth. We'll come back to this issue, but let's speak to Ken. Ken is in Kumasi. Yeah, we'll come back to that issue. Ken is in Kumasi, and Ken will be our last caller. Good morning, Ken.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, Ken. I hope you're well.
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Could you good morning, Ade?
Yes, they're all great.
All right. Well, my first question is, why are we even giving them the phone, first of all? You see, we are talking about maybe to get access to them when you want to talk to them and then doing their homeworks on the phone. When you give a child below the age of 18 years a phone, trust me, there's no way you can monitor everything. Somebody was talking about apps that can help you monitor. Even when I want a child to watch something on social network, he can do it, or he can do it seconds. And the monitoring thing I want to hammer on what the guy who just spoke before me said is you shouldn't sneak into the, and that one is going to be another thing. Let them know, face to face, hey, give me your phone. If you want to monitor them, give me your phone. Let me check what you do with the phone. Then you get to know that, or you get to know that you are monitoring him or her. Now you sneak into his room and then you pick his phone. How will he or he know that somebody is monitoring her? So first, I would say giving the phone to a child less than 18 years, to me, is senseless.
So what should the appropriate age be?
At least above 18 is better, because we all know that 18 years, we consider them as mature people.
All right. Okay, Ken, thank you very much for your thoughts. We have a lot of reactions, even from within this studio. Seth, there's something that I want to say and share, and Kekeli has a reaction based on what Ken just said. 18 should be the appropriate age. I heard you say something to Raymond. We all want to hear. Kekeli, what are your thoughts?
I feel like no matter what, if they're going to be exposed to anything bad, I feel like they should be ready to see that thing and be ready to be mature enough to do it. Because if they've not had a phone before, they're having it when they're 18 and above, one, they'll have difficulty maneuvering their phone, and then two, if they're going to be exposed to something, they won't know how to adequately buffer themselves against it, because they've never handled the phone before, and they've never been exposed to something like that before. They won't know how to maneuver their way around being influenced by that thing.
Okay, so you are still thinking 13, or you said 15, 16?
15, 16, because
15, 16.
That's when like peer pressure is around. And I feel like if the child knows that this wrong, don't do it when you go on social media, don't go here when you go on social media. I feel like if they do it, and then like they've gotten, because children are curious, so if you tell them not to do this, they go and do it just to see, oh, hey, I've done this, what can mommy do to me? I've seen what she's talking about, and like that. And if they've gone on that thing, they realize, oh, it's not as exciting as mommy made it seem, because she's made it like very, very off limits. They themselves, they'll step away from it. I've had situations like that where I feel like, oh, this will be exciting to see. I go and see it, and I see how gory and whatever it is, and me myself, I just left it. For example, like when I started using Instagram, I found it fun to randomly chat with people and stuff. Eventually, I realized that, hey, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. So I stopped doing that myself.
Okay.
And like when the kid knows something is wrong, maybe their friend is showing them that thing is wrong, and that wrong thing on their phone, hey, look at this. They themselves don't know, oh, I don't do this. This is my moral. I don't want to do this. Mommy says I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't use my phone for this. So you have your way. I won't do it.
Okay. Listen, Benis just showed up from television.
Yes.
And Benis, you have two young boys.
Yes, I have two young boys, Mama V, and I just like to chip in on the bit of controls on devices. So like the man who said don't give your child a phone, you may not give them a phone to own personally, but in this day and age they would need phones, sometimes assignments and stuff like that. So here's what I did for my kids on YouTube Kids, right? I have approved channels for them to watch. But here's the thing again, beyond approving the channels, be interested in the content, because I was surprised one day to hear a certain expression used, and I was like, what's happening here? And then it was a channel that I approved, and so I had to go and block it, because sometimes for us parents, we are not very interested in the very details. You should be interested in the details. And another thing I learned that I like to share with parents as well is that even for some of these approved channels, there are predators who find ways of cloning the approved cartoons that you know about. And so I was watching one and I could see ghosts, I could see, so it's an imitation of the original one, but it has subtle messages of suicide, it has subtle messages of drugs and other things, and so we must be careful. And lastly, I like what she said about your child being able to face what it is and make a decision. Because I was confronted with one quite recently, and I spoke to my child's doctor for some help, psychologically. And I said, should I take him out of the school or what? He said, okay, let's monitor him for a while. Because if you take him out of that situation, you're teaching him to run away. So let's see how that child develops the character of seeing the thing and saying, no, I won't do it. No, I won't do that because I know it's morally wrong. So, Mama V, there's a lot to share about. Like I said, I'm a young parent. I'm still learning. You've been giving me some tips. So let's evolve with our children. Let's
certainly not on
them.
Technology.
This is a beautiful conversation.
So let's talk to the kids, Mama V. Let's explain to them. And I like what she said. Because, sometimes a kid is jumping on the bed. She says, stop it. No. If you don't stop it, you're going to break your tooth. And then they stop. So they're rational. You see, she's smiling. Kekeli is smiling. Because some of these things, you must have conversations with your children.
Yeah.
And let's be deliberate about parenting.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays we leave things to chance. We think that, things will happen. No, they won't happen. And the caller who said, Obabe say, yes, do what you can. Leave the rest to God. But don't avoid what you have to do. Because then that's you're creating problems. I'm running back to TV.
Thank you, Belis. Thank you. This is really important about the bit about some of the sites where you think they're watching something that you've approved, but it's actually a clone version of the original. That's really scary.
And if you do not know what even a clone version will be, you think the name is what you are choosing, and you've not watched it or reviewed it yourself. I mean, for some time, the child will be scarred, but the psychological damage might not be known to you. Because sometimes parents are also tough people. The child may not get an opportunity to discuss with you. You will think that the child wants to look up something but you might have chosen that thing for the child. There's a bit. I mean, I have a cousin that, in order to regulate, and she's 16, her use of phones and other things, it is my responsibility. The mother basically says she's banned the child from accessing all. But this is a child who's entered medical school. Even that, they are insisting she cannot do so. But that's the point. But you think about it. So now it was me who had to come in and say that she has to use the other mind control.
Uncle Ray.
So yes, Uncle Ray would insist that. So we use the same Apple ID, which means that when she is downloading anything, I get to know.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a bit of, and she should stand on her own. But this is either that or nothing else.
But for how long are you going to do that?
But
so she's what,
I think that very soon she will be too old for any form of regulation.
Yeah.
But even in that space, if you see the kind of things that others will send to her, even colleagues sending her through WhatsApp and other means pornographic materials. I mean, yes.
But that's what Kekeli said.
Yeah, and
that you'd sometimes receive some of these messages or some of these contents. A parent will find it shocking and they will never believe that this is not something that you are consuming.
Or you selected a person that should actually send you that. So one of the things we agreed is that, okay, it can be on social media, but you're not posting any of those pictures and those things on it. If the only way is to keep up with friends, your friends, they know you. So they can actually contact you without having to you posting your pictures, and because it attracts attention that you don't want to put out there, that you may not be able to control at a point. In fact, her rule also is that she cannot do how do you call it, the stray surfing, like surfing the internet for things that are not related to her work. So yes, so it's quite regimented.
No random searches.
Yes.
Or
even though she tries, I mean, you can see that. I mean, she's using private
what's her reaction really? Like, how has she reacted to these changes, these restrictions?
Also, because she was given the option, either that or nothing. I think she felt it was a good way, and I promised her that if she stays true to the cause for the next 2 years, when she's 18, it will come with other things like other gadgets, which she can do whatever she wants to do with. It's just a parent who's worried about regulating the child she's brought up properly, paid a lot of school fees, and try to put in the right path.
Right.
And that's maybe kids got to understand that parents are not bent on intimidating you.
Yeah.
But just that sometimes we overdo it. I mean, we have to use some Takashi. And some parents are not very, democratic in their engagement. Yes.
We'll come back to the tips. Really important. All right, Raymond. Just in about 2 minutes.
Okay, so quickly on those ones, the very important one is to keep an open dialogue with your child. They say come monitor 24/7. Let them tell you, and you should be close to them. Somebody's trying to harass them. If they feel that person actually send them invites, strangers, people that they do not know. You have to set general guidelines for also social media use. when you give people alternatives, they abuse it, and children want to explore. There's one about never allowing them to accept friends' requests from people they don't know, which is absolutely important.
Right.
So in order to even make it, I mean, a bit of a safe space, make sure they're not posting personal details, including phone numbers, addresses, or their check-ins on the what they call social media apps that they are on, because they can be tracked. And people have actually used that to abuse kids and found out. So the person calls you and says that, oh, you are here. You feel the person knows you too well. That's why they are telling you that. And there is one about keeping your child's profile private, which will prevent it from not accessing or not being visible to people who they have no business being visible to.
Right.
So that it will not be difficult for them. And of course, posting photos and videos which may jeopardize their security and safety is a complete no-no. These are quite liberal modes of checking.
Right.
Not the one that says don't let your child access internet at all, because there's a bit of learning that's required. There is a bit of learning that's required on the computer, which they have to do. Their colleagues are building proper plugins on what's already being built, so they can do that. Except that they have to be, protected from predators and other harmful things.
Right. On social media at Alfred, this is on Twitter at Alfred B says my child will start using it 13 and above, and this is on the appropriate age for children to get onto social media. Van Kel says 16 is okay to use social media. Fresh Shack says, well, before they are born, parents already initiated them into social media. At first, children used to break your phone when playing. Now, they will press it until the phone itself starts to cry. This generation, if directed well in technology, will benefit us all. The final one from Mrs. Brown, from age 10, I guess. They only have access to social media during weekends, and we all participate. I still have access to my 21-year-old daughter's phone and her password. It all boils down to the kind of relationship you have with your kids, with the hashtag #JoySMS. Okay, Kekeli. In wrapping up, just some of the things that you've been faced with as challenges on being on social media and how you've dealt with it, if you have any sort of experience that you want to share.
So people tend to be very, very mean on social media. Like they can say very, very mean stuff about you, and it can be people who are your own friends. It can be strangers. It can be anybody really.
Right.
So, for example, there was this one time where I had friends. So we were in this group chat where we talk about anime and stuff like art stuff, art and acting and all that, and we were all in the group together. And sometimes we add people who have the same interests to that particular group.
Right.
So we add friends of our friends and stuff. So I have a friend. I added him to the group, and this is the age where people have crushes and stuff. So
tell us about it.
There was someone who had a crush on me, but I did not like the person back, and I told him that look, I don't like you back.
Okay.
He took it fine, but his friend befriended me and added him to this group. Then he started throwing very, very abusive language at me because he was angry that I rejected his friend. His friend was totally fine with what happened. And it turned into an hour-long monologue of him insulting me and cursing me, saying that I was that is very, very censored language that he used, but that is what he said, and it was very, very painful. So I ended up blocking him. That was one. And now we don't really add anybody else to the group to avoid like situations like that.
Okay.
And you can also, there's also this thing that's been introduced to TikTok where you can block certain language being used in your comment section. You can also keep people from entering your DMs by setting your account private, so people can't really message you out of the blue.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
All right. Well, Kekeli, listen, thank you so much for the tips that you've shared. Thanks for your contribution on this conversation. It's been amazing. Thank you. I've learned so much.